Hey everybody, this is B from Kongs R Us, and welcome to The Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show where we bring you next level things, guests, community members, projects, generally things that I'm interested in talking about. And so today, I'm going to be talking a little pinball for folks that enjoy that type of content. I know there's many type of folks that enjoy my content for home arcades and lots of things, but there's a story in the Stern pinball world that I thought was intriguing to talk about. So I wanted to share a little bit about the latest and greatest that's happening there. If you did notice, I did put in a disclaimer that I have been working with the Stern marketing team. I've been super fortunate enough to have a couple of pinball machines loaned to me for a couple of months to make some content. And so I had a Venom Premium for a little while. I have a Bond I'm going to be making a review content on. But they're also doing some community events. So I want to talk about this March Madness contest that you're doing. So let's just watch this promo video of what they're doing right now. So essentially, this is cool. They did a promo video at the University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini. I don't know if I said that right. And they bought a bunch of machines, and they're trying to capitalize on March Madness. So this is a fun time. In the world of sports, people love competition. And this is a fun competition. So let's talk about the rules of what's happening here. So what is this? What you got to do, it's been already working for the last week or so, is that everybody that plays pinball and logs in using your Stern Insider Connected code, you are now competing on behalf of your entire state. So your entire state of California could be playing against your entire state of New York or Florida. And there's kind of like this weird scoring system that the highest score that you put on a machine for that particular day gets added to this cumulative total, and it gets an average for the state score. So that's essentially what's happening for that particular contest. And so it's an interesting concept. Let me just start off by saying that first off, I think these types of contests are a great way to engage the community, because that's the question for today, right? Is this a good or bad community event? For me, I think doing stuff like this is absolutely cool. I do think it's a great way to engage folks, to play the machine, see some results, have a little friendly competition. That's the good part that I think about this competition really provides. I'm trying to see if I can get the actual details of the contest rules so we can take a look at them together. But funny enough, I was trying to log into my Stern Insider Connected account, not on my phone, but on the website. And I kind of accidentally got locked out of my own account. So we might be able to join in just a second and see if we can find out what's happening there. But I have the rules up on my phone. I can go over them real quickly so you can see it. But Stern Insider Connected has a really cool app as well. And so not only can you go to the website, you used to have to kind of save your QR code. Now there's a full-on app now that you can check. And yes, you can go to the March Mania. It's called March Machine Mania for their actual particular event. And so you have all the different states that are represented here. And essentially it says scan your QR code on any Insider Connected machine from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Everyone in your state is considered on your team. Compete against each other for victory. Okay, number 2, your highest daily score on each game title that you play contributes to your team score. What's up, Vic VP? Hey, Raf. Your team score is calculated based on the average daily high scores of each of the players on each title in your state. And then lastly, total scores from all teams are ranked in the March Machine Mania divisional leaderboards. Badges are awarded to you and your team based on where your state is placed on the leaderboards. So anybody that's outside of the US, there's one international state as well. And there's week 1 through 4, a bunch of little badges that you can complete. So all the rules are here. If you want to go to the Stern Insider Connected app, I highly recommend it. I was going to screen share this because you can log into Stern Insider Connected and check all this stuff as well. But it's really cool. I highly recommend, getting into here. The current leader right now, as of today, week 1 division leaderboards, is the state of Indiana. Indiana has an average score of 27 billion points. The next one, 2, is Washington at 24 billion. International is 23. Georgia and South Dakota is number 5. and then it just keeps going down in terms of all 50 states of where everybody else is ranking. California is 11th, woot, at 17. But the reason why I put the stream together is poor Florida. Florida. Florida is at number 14, and that's quite interesting. So Florida is at number 16. Florida is an interesting state in general, right? All fun things happen in Florida. But the fun thing that happened was that there was a recent crazy uh, community thing that happened where Bat Cave Pinball is a guy named Eric Stone. He's one of the best pinball players in the world. He's IFPA ranked. He is one of the best international flipper pinball association folks in the world, and he's dang good. He's ranked currently, I think he's a past champion. I think I saw that somewhere, but he is actually ranked currently 13th in the world right now. So if you go to the IFPA rankings, this guy Eric Stone in the Crimson Pro rankings is the 13th best pinball player in the entire world. So this dude is freaking good at pinball. He's amazing. He's so good. In fact, he's so good, he was playing a Jaws pinball machine, a limited edition Jaws pinball machine. And this happened 2 days ago. He scored 4.1 trillion points on this gameplay. And what was he doing on this gameplay? If you're looking at what's happening here, is that he's playing and he's getting like 529 million points on one single shot. So he completed all the bounties that happen on this particular game. And then the rest of the time, once he got all the bounties, there was this reel, the reel that's this like little spinning pinwheel at the top area. There's like a little reel. That reel, look, it's at 1.2 billion points every single time he hits the reel. So what was happening is once he completed all the bounties, you see all the lit section down here, pretty much all completed. He's just going up there, and he's super crazy good at ball controlling. And every time he spins that, look, that bounty HUD is lit. It's giving him billions of points each time he's doing this, and he's just repeating this over and over and over again. So this was, the game. This was part of the game. This was as of 2 days ago. He did this live, playing for everybody that this was a legit 4.1 trillion score. It just blew everything out of the water. It was freaking insane. So I mean, this guy did it pretty legitimately. But what happened was that bug that you see on the video screen, where it's kind of just like not resetting. The Stern folks claimed it was a bug that was unintentional for somebody to be able to score that particularly high on anything that happened. And so here's what happened. So the Stern pinball folks officially, as of yesterday, said no one likes an early busted bracket. We noticed some fishy scores and have removed those to keep the scoring balance. Keep flipping. Instant replay says, instant replay on the court. We had to blow the whistle and call a timeout in the March machine Mania. Some crafty competitors discovered a bug in Jaws, turning the leaderboard standings into an unflare stand dunk. Our Stern referees will be spotting sneaky foul play, but don't worry, our team is on the case for the true fix faster than you can say that Jaws ain't unfair. So this started to cause a little bit of controversy for folks in the comments that were following Eric and watching it live. This was a legitimate score that was documented live on his Twitch and on his YouTube channel. Check out Batcave Pinball, linked it in the description if you're watching this afterwards or want to check it out now. But it was a legit score. And so is it his fault that he found a bug for a new game and it was an even playing field? So what happened? So Eric, this is him right here. He's also looks like a meteorologist. He has a public following as well as Bat Cave Pinball. And he has a lot of couple of folks after he shared his score being discounted. He had some folks that were documenting what actually happened. And so this was Dave Dauskas. Thank you for posting this. This was the before, as soon as he made that score, the 4.1 trillion, he brought his state average for Florida to 78 billion points. And everybody else was in the 14s and 11s. I remember checking it yesterday morning and it was like, holy crap, Florida is like doing something crazy. And then I had to like find out what was happening. And then by the afternoon yesterday is when they posted that information from Stern. And then the next picture is the next settings where it goes from 78,000 down to 18,000 to international. And so that's now the top score, and Florida is back down the chart. So Eric representing the state of Florida. The Stern folks called a foul and said it was foul play. But in my opinion, I think that should have been a legit score, at least for week one. If you're running this contest and you're running it and all things are fair, anytime you run a contest that has some competitive scoring, points, team play, people are gonna find ways to be able to play and try to do their best and sneak by and do anything they can do to win. And he wasn't doing this like intentionally, like to say like I'm gonna cheat, and he didn't have the glass off the screen. Like that's considered cheating. Let's talk about all the other things people could actually do to try to cheat. He was using regular settings on 3 balls, completing all the bounties on Jaws, and then found this crazy little thing that was scoring billions of points every single time he went through the reel. At the very least, that documented score, I think should have stood for at least week one. I know there's bug updates that would have happened, and there's kind of like a story to be said about if this was fair, if anybody else would be able to catch up to that particular score. But how crazy that this wasn't just some like random thing. All these people are saying you can get 1 trillion points. You can always argue that you can do it in a game. Therefore it's fair. There's so many people on here arguing both sides of the information of what happened. But the net is that he did it. It was documented. Nobody can take away that you had a 4.1 million score or trillion score, Eric. So at least kudos to you. Largest score that I've ever seen in pinball recently. And scoring is very random in general. So I think that's my other big, I would say, criticism of a contest like this. A contest like this where it's based off of average score for a pinball machine. Not every pinball machine in the Stern lineup scores evenly and effectively across the board, right? Keith is watching the stream like, what? I know they took some quick notes. In fact, they've already released a patch. The patch notes are already out. It is done. They've already patched that particular bug, Vic. So I'll go over the patch notes so you can see that in just a second. But all Stern games in general are not created equally. Some games are easier to score millions and billions of points, and that's just the norm for a game like that. And then there's games like freaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where you score like thousands of points for each hit, and then the norm is to get maybe 1 or 2 million points at and like that's a decent score, is just getting just to 1 million on Turtles. So like playing that game and adding that to your total is probably not going to be worth your time. I think the main problem that I have with this particular tournament is that I'm looking at the scores and the current standings that exist right now, is that there's not a lot of transparency on how the actual scores are actually working. I think that's where my big feedback is for Stern. If that you're going to run something like this and you want people to participate and want to feel like they have a fair shot about what's happening, is to hopefully try to get this to a space where you could click on a state and see their score totals and then see how the machines are averaging. And then you can kind of game plan how you can impact that score. If I don't know how scoring works for a game that I'm playing, how can I feel good about me playing a game and it impacting it, right? Am I playing the right game? Is there any strategy to this at all? Or is it just to see how many people are playing more pinball in a particular state than other people? So I would have liked to have seen some more transparency in the scoring system. I think that was probably like the biggest concern that I had about looking at, is that I really don't know what the impact I have is on particular. I think it's a freaking cool ass community event in general. The fact that they're doing this and engaging as many people as possible, it's a highly inclusive event and anybody can play. It's just a little bit of a mystery in terms of the scoring. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that I wanted to see some more transparency. That's what I wanted to see. Vic VP says, this is standard stuff for pinball. Devs playing with it at the facility versus outside. Insane players are 2 different game players, right? See, Marvel saying, is it possible they already knew the bug and Stern was just eventually going to release it until they saw someone just found it and abuse it in tournament play? I don't know, man. Exactly. VP saying that communities are basically testers. They see the bugs and issues, they get feedback and adjust from there. And, Jaws is a elite game that released just last month. So of course it's still early code, and that means that the code is going to improve the game. And this was absolutely an example of a great pinball player freaking just tearing it up and going to town on this, and the rest is history. So he did a great job of documenting that little bug there. But what happened? Stern Pinball. Let's just go to the notes. See if I can download the notes. I downloaded the notes a second ago. Code. So we can go to the game code. Let me show this real fast. All right. So the game code for Stern, they've already have updates. They already have the Jaws LE. He was playing on a limited edition Jaws. And yes, you have to agree to some things, download the game code. So here it is. They've already patched it and said, after you do all this, March 7th, today is March 7th, Bounty Hut fixed an issue where scores would score out of control when all bounty hunts have been completed. The Mako Shark has been easier. Fix an issue where Dart Gear wasn't working for Mini Flipper. Bounty Hut multi-ball adds a ball if the shark is captured. Fix an issue. Fix an issue where the fin wouldn't hold. Adjusted the pop-up size cover for the screen. Added a new display effect. Added chum bucket. Score balancing. Jackpot's now standard award. Prevents left spinner. Thresher Shark. Let's see if there's anything else that mentions like scoring adjustments. Thresher Park is now giving 2-time score instead of barrel hook gear. Night Search multi-ball's score balancing mode is now worth more, about 2 times more. Super buoys, pop-up awards, scoring now displayed. Life ring, fix an issue where the life ring could be used after rolling right over or right out lane switch. Close call, timing has been adjusted, so there's less false calls. Shark Hunter, fix an issue with out of harpoons. Add an adjustment frame to typewriter, and score frame timer panels now have a color screen. Adjustment changes to all this other stuff. Standard adjustment, meh. Okay, so I guess maybe this is the main one that fixed it. Fix an issue where scores would be out of control when all the bounty huts had been completed. So I think that's the particular Eric Stone fix, the Batcave pinball fix, that after he did all the bounty huts, the real bounty was crazy. So that's the line number 1 that was fixed there. Credit to Eric Stone for finding that. I mean, maybe they should document that and maybe share that, because that's exactly what it was doing. But that was the bug fix for the LE, and I think they did that for all the other ones too. So for all the Jaws games out there, you can go back and download the code updates for the LE, the Premium, and the Pro. So they're all pretty much the same. The code patches are there, and it's only 8.6. It's the 0.86 code. They say a game is not fully complete and still a 1.0 code. It's still early. I thought the code can still improve from the time that I was playing the game in Vegas, that they didn't have the modes for you to save your progress yet, and like they do with Venom. So I thought that was an opportunity for improvement. I just thought this was funny that, hey, this is their big community event, and somebody blew it out of the water in the first couple of days with the crazy 4.1 trillion score. Better or worse, I think it should have counted for week 1, and then afterwards they let it stay. It's like that referee that comes in and makes a call at the end of the game, and like, you should have just let the players play. I think they should have let this one go. I think they should have let this one go, at least for the community event purposes, and say, congratulations, Florida, you won for week 1. We're going to make everything all fair for week 2, and then move it from there. Because it's not like it would have been there forever. Every single week, they would have been resetting to see what the tournament winners were. So I don't think Eric's going to be putting as much time into this tournament anymore. But maybe the other top players will be. There's a lot of people that are playing all over the country as well as all over the world, and I think it's a fun way to get involved. So yeah, it sucks that the fixed scores that seem out of control, right? It's definitely that. It says basically perception, fixed scores that seem out of control. If there was a bug, gotta squash it. Doesn't try to remove that perception. So it is what it is, but I thought that was just funny to make a quick video about this and talk about the March Mania event itself. Do I think events like this are cool for the community? I do. I really give Stern some props, at least for integrating their Stern Insider Connected platform. It gives you more reasons to find machines to log on and get connected. I started playing in this Pinball League tournament on Tuesday nights, and there's like 2 machines where even if I'm playing a tournament, I'm playing casually and I'm trying to get scores, I still want to log in to track my progress, and there's like 2 machines that are offline. And I get pissed when I can't log into a machine and it's in a public space. Like, that's really one of the things operators always have, is that connectivity makes you want to play. Vic VP, I'm sorry, you have Jersey Jack pinball machines and they don't do shit for community engagement because they don't have a login system like the Insider Connected. I think it's one of the things that's going to start setting Stern apart in terms of their community engagement. And just events like this. Yeah, the pinball community is crazy, but you don't have to own and buy a pinball machine for your house. You can go to Pinball Map and find some place to play, and you'll find tons of people. It's the only current, I would say, public modern arcade place where you see people gathering to play a game. That's it can be fun and addicting if you get into it. I know not a ton of people in the channel are super into that, but yeah, JGP don't do shit. They got to come up with something, man. Hey, maybe the developers might do something and you have to be able to record it on your own. But the system integration, I think the first Stern Insider Connected group or pinball machine, I think was Godzilla. I think Godzilla was the first Insider Connected pinball machine. And so since then, the last 2.5 years, like every machine from there has been Insider Connected. Or for older machines like my Star Wars, I had to buy this integration kit to get the QR code. It's such a genius idea. It's so simple. Just allows you to track your progress for it. And then Stern has all the information and data from all the people that are logging into play to see who's playing the most games, who's doing what's the most popular. It's such good field market research data for Stern too, to like have all these people logging in. Some people are freaking like tattooing their QR code onto their wrist, which is taking pictures of it. So it's crazy, but I really do like the feature. I think it's a really innovative feature, and it's allowing newer pinball machines like Venom and eventually Jaws to do cool things like save your progress. Like Vic, imagine if you were playing Toy Story and you had ability to save your progress and fight, like get to the end of a game, or Godfather. And like, yeah, maybe you wouldn't want to do that all the time, but the first time you're playing it through, maybe it's cool to be able to save your progress. I was able to do that with Venom and finally get to a final boss character and feel like I beat the game-ish, and you got rewarded for it. So I thought the level saving progress was super freaking awesome. Vic PP says, I went and made an iScored account for JGP, crested several QR code images that people can download and put on their machines in backglass. At least you can like document your score. Yeah, that's a cool idea. So at least you're sharing it beyond just your machine, because your machine is your high score and that's it, right? Something like iScored, which is a national kind of online database that you can share high score. That's a cool thing that you did. Doesn't it speak volumes about online integration for retro style games like pinball and arcade games? Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about kind of the home arcade market and other events like they've done, like that at games and our iArcade and Arcade 1UP we're doing for community events. It's hard to like have global online leaderboards and do sort of a community event focused on them. Like, I don't know what the best way to do events like that and make them like legitimate. I know at Games for their National Owners Day was like, play some of our game titles and get a high score, and top 3 scores will be able to get something, or they join a bracket. I think those types of events still encourage people to play. Sometimes my issue with like the at Games Nod events is that they almost have like too many events happening at the same time for people to know what to do or what to play. And so I really appreciate whenever there's like a focused tournament, and maybe this is something that Stern can do too, because right now it's like every machine you play, you can play whatever, you get your thing on a score. But I really like during December when they had, hey, the 12 days of Jaws or 12 days of Godzilla, and every day for these 12 days, you need to find a Godzilla machine and log on and do these challenges. Like doing challenges per machine kind of helps you hunt for a machine and gives you a more focused thing to do. That's just human nature. If you're asked to do 10 different things, you kind of are like, I kind of don't want to do anything. But if somebody asks you to say, hey, can you do this one thing for me? Then you're more likely to say, yeah, I could do that. And so I think from a community event standpoint, being more focused on your ask for what you're asking the community to do can provide more engagement opportunities. Yeah, there might not be every single machine everywhere, and so it might be a little bit smaller to get engaged, but I think they could have like narrowed the pool on, at least for the at Games Nod. For iArcade, who knows what they're doing for the high score leaderboards per game. I know there are some community events like some guys that were hosting the esports league online. We're trying to do high score events all the time. Brooklyn Menace was doing high score challenges and things like that were community events. Arcade 1UP has done tournaments on their fighting game events, but have they ever done a high score thing for the week of this week? Let's get your highest score on Pac-Man for this week and track it. I think there would have been a lot of opportunity, especially that Arcade 1UP had the app to do more of those community events and challenges and badges and things like that. I think that was probably their future plan, to do some more of that, but they never actually got that going. So it was just never executed that well, in my opinion, for some of the home arcade products. But some of the best organic competitions and events happen from community members instead of the actual company itself. And I think that's what's happening with pinball. Some of the best competitions and things aren't because Stern is hosting all these tournaments. It's local pinball owners and operators that are hosting their own tournaments and things and creating engagement at their local places. That's the best way to stay engaged, is find your community, find your people. It's the only place you can go to play some pinball. All right. Steve Marvel says, Kongzerus, I think they can do it through their app on Arcade 1UP, but I wish 1UP would expand their leadership to include lifetime high scores and a leaderboard that resets every 3 months. That's not a bad idea. You know, I think that like there's still potential with their 1UP high score. So it's not just your personal high scores, but you see the leaderboards and it resets. There's some pinball locations that have a Stern Army Insider connected leaderboard. And it says for the month of January through March, here's all of our 5 games, and here's the top leaderboards for that. And that's actually really exciting to see if you can put your name up on a leaderboard and then it resets every 3 months. I put my name up on a leaderboard at this pinball location called Ace Gogi in West Hills. And I remember somebody coming up to me afterwards and was like, hey, I saw your name on the leaderboard there. And I was like, very cool. That's awesome. So, you know, that's just an example of what you could do. So I think that's a great idea to reset scores every couple of months. Want to know what's upsetting? A pinball place by me has a bunch of Stern LE machines, but oh, that's terrible, man. That sucks to not have them online. Because one, it's easy to kind of update them if they're online, to have the game codes downloaded, so you don't have to do the maintenance on them by changing the actual cards. But two, not having them online is a foul. You got to get them to do it, Vic. At least get them to log in. I hate when I walk up to a Stern machine that has Insider connected QR and it's not online. It's like the number one thing that bugs me when I get out and play pinball. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. You have the Jaws LE too, man. That's dope. All right, Steve Marvel says, maybe the reset would add interest for people wanting to get the top 3 next month. Exactly, while having their lifetime high scores. Absolutely. I think if you're doing community engagement and high scores, you got to reset it occasionally, so that way it gives new people a chance to be able to kind of climb up a particular month, or even monthly if you could do it that way and then still have that all-time high score. Whatever you do to create engagement, you got to have parity and you got to have transparency. I think that's the big thing that's lacking in this March Mania tournament bracket, is that the clarity and the transparency on how scoring works is what's missing from making this like such a really cool event. Like I'm gonna go, and if I was trying to like actually try to get high score and contribute to my state, I would be playing Star Wars, because Star Wars I can score like 500 million, you know, close to 1 billion every couple of tries. I can barely get 100 million on Godzilla or Foo Fighters. So you know, I think some way to know how your scores are impacting your local score. I'm sure there's some crazy magic Excel formula that's happening in the background of everybody collecting all the data. It makes zero sense for the end user though to not know what's happening in that space. So a little bit more clarity in the scoring would be helpful. And maybe after week 1 they'll do it. Maybe after week 1 they'll break down one of the sites and states and say, here's all the scoring worked, and that way we can see what's impacting. I love the idea. Execution, I feel like, can just be slightly better. So all right. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you. Smash that like button. I got one last thing to talk about really quickly, and then we'll head on out there. So the last thing that the Stern Insider Connected folks asked me to share out, because you know, I've been talking to them and they've been really nice to let me borrow a pinball machine. And so I'm going to talk about what they asked me to do. So Stern is also a part of this competition called the Illinois Makers Association. So there's a link in the description or a link in the chat. If you guys click it, you can go here, and they have like 200 different products that are nominated for the best products in Illinois. Stuff from barbecue sauces to 40 Jalo. Like, just look at the stuff that's on here. It's actually funny. You got a steam brew house, you got an active wall, you got an American flag as the best product ever made in Illinois. You got Azteca home-style burrito tortilla. You got some beer nuts, a wide putter. There's so many things on here. Freaking Ferris wheel. And so all the way down, if you go, because they're in alphabetical order, you get all the way down to Stern, and it's really far down because we're on E, we're on J. Jaws Pinball Machine, there it is. So Jaws Pinball Machine is actually listed on here as one of the things you can vote for. If you click the vote button, you can actually vote for Jaws if you're a Stern fan. Technically, you can vote up to 5 times per device. and then you can change devices and you keep going again. And they're going to have some sort of March Madness bracket. So if you're so inclined to, a fan of the Stern Pinball folks and you want to vote, you can put in your 5 votes for Stern Pinball. Jaws machine is one of the coolest things that was made in Illinois. They're based in Chicago. Give them a shout out, give them a help out if you can. That would be really appreciated. And, they have this happening for the next couple of weeks or so. But anyways, their March Madness event, good effort. I'm going to say that. Good effort. Execution, we got to work on it a little bit more, and hopefully we'll get some transparency. And Eric Stone, I'm sorry that you got ripped of your score. Apologies that it didn't count towards the tournament, but you forever will be ingrained in the history of the pinball community as the first person to score 4.1 million points in Jaws. That's crazy. Little fun thing. This is my Jaws t-shirt that I got from On Tilt Pinball. They did a pinball release or launch party this past weekend. So that's the shirt that I'm wearing, representing the Jaws. Who knows? I'm a Stern show right now, but I do love my pinball machines. I can't help it. Vic VP, you need to get a Stern pinball machine in your house. They're fun to play. At least one, just one. I do like the Jersey Jacks, but it's definitely fun. Thank you guys, everybody. Appreciate that. Jason, thanks for sharing out the leak as you can. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. Maybe I'll do some modding. I'll talk about some more stuff. If you're watching this on a replay, let me know if there's other things or topics you want me to talk about. Happy to do so, but that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Have a great rest of your evening. See you guys next time. Bye. See ya. Let me address this real quick. Mr. Encoder, I'm not telling people to buy a certain pinball machine. I'm saying you can go play one. There's something called pinballmap.com. Go to your freaking local brewery and play a game. Have some fun. Be social. Drink a beer. Have some fun. That's all I'm saying. Good night, everybody. Talk to you guys later.